Hey, what's up, Professor? Hope you had a good week and have a good
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was one of those weeks where if I could have just kept some stuff from Monday and just turned everything off and been been
yeah.
fine, but I kept hitting the same stuff over and over as it kept going up. So yeah, I mean, it was not really what I expected out of the out of the market, but I mean, nobody ever knows what's gonna happen. We just have a plan in particular stocks we're looking at and levels and all that. So yeah, so a lot more follow through. No real. I thought there'd be more selling early in the week, and then maybe we'd recover a bit, but didn't really get much of that. As far as futures go, I had a line on Nasdaq futures that I drew like months ago. Well, actually, like all the way back in December, and it had broken through that and then like retested it, and that's when we went. The market kind of went crazy up until um, oh, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So this was actually March. So March 2021, I had this line on futures at 12,402, and it's not really exact, but that was kind of a line we had hit resistance on a few times, like in like September 2020, and then October 2020, and then it finally broke through, and then it retested in March. And I say that because like it was a key level back then, and we had broken below that in May and those May lows that we talked about, and then even further down in June, and then we never really could get back over it. Then we had that big rally in August. Well, we sold off again, went below it, and what I said was that I thought that if it reclaimed that line, that I was going to get pretty bullish, especially if we reclaimed it, like retested it, and then kept going. So that's really kind of what I'm watching for as we open the week. And I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this. Like people talk about do this with SPY or QQQ, and some people get into, I don't know, like bond yields or whatever. But for me, like this line's been pretty good, and so I'm just going to kind of stick with that as far as Nasdaq goes. And then I mentioned, and this kind of goes in line with that. Copper, the level I watch on copper is, or has been lately, $3.50, and I don't know, what in particular it is about that number, but I know that when it fails, X, CLF, AA, CENX, FCX, which is specifically a copper stock, like they all start to really show some weakness. So when they're actually like start hitting a bit of an uptrend, I look for copper to kind of stay around that level and defend it. It's a little over it right now, 356. So that's the kind of the level I'm going to watch for pullbacks there. What was you mentioned natural gas? Like what's your current take on that?
Well, I like the how eight's kind of a give and take level
Yeah,
right now. I do like that. I just for me the original thesis on natural gas was that we were going to get a little dip before the winter. We only have like another month or so um, before that happens. So I'm hoping that we do get down to 7
yeah. I
and then it
seven's
goes back up to 9, and I'll play both sides of that.
That's my seven's my target. I don't think we'll see six.
No.
That was a pretty extreme sell off. back then. But yeah, no, I think 7 definitely is possible, and we know how cold will move on that. I mean that'll be, you'll have some 12-15% days on cold. Um, if we,
Boil.
as we fall towards that. Yeah.
I have a boil line at 55 too, and I mean we were up in the 120s here for the last month or so. So when that gets back towards 50 or 60, that will be back in the ballpark too. That's something that I'll be very interested in because I overall thesis is that we go back up in the winter because of the European crisis. That is
Yeah.
the real crisis. I posted in chat the other day that um, like get ready for the government, our government, to say that we're not in a recession. We never were in a recession, but the world's in a recession, so we're feeling that. That's going to be their story. Because the Europe is it's going to affect things for a while. I think like we can get back to normal a little sooner, but what's going on in Europe, especially with energy, could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, because they handcuff themselves with a lot of green energy initiatives
Yes.
that really, kind of screw them as they get into an energy shortage. And on that note, a related commodity to watch, resistance in uranium is about 52, and we're 5180. If we were to actually bust through that, you could see uranium go back up to like 60, 62, something like that. That's what it did back in like March and April. So that's kind of another level I'm looking at. Really, in energy, I kind of backed off oil last week, just because the flow was going into the week. It was strong. Then it weakened a lot. Some of the stocks kind of held their own. I mean, you didn't really see like a collapse in the mid caps or anything, but there just wasn't a lot of clarity in the flow reads there, and really it was uranium dominating that space. So that was just a better play overall.
Well, we talked about the 60 to 80 or 50 to 80, whatever you want to call it. I think it's more 60 to 80 now. Channel that gas, per prices for oil should be in.
Yeah.
Like and we're at the top of that now. I think it's 86, 82. So we're about to get back in the channel. So I understand that sector cooling off. That totally makes sense. Um, the market in general, right? It moves off speculation. Um, and at some point in time that's the bear thesis, right? Is like how much worse can it get, and that's where we are right now, and having these mini pops out of it because we're over assessing risk. um, I think it's nice. I think it's really nice, and you kind of see some stuff that people can't stay away from no matter how bad the market gets. um,
Yeah.
is what I'm noticing. There's just some stuff that like has Roblox even thought about going back to $20 again? I mean, it stayed up from that range. It stayed up 40-60% the whole time. It hasn't, like, I think 32 is the lowest it's went. And it's just kind of interesting to watch stuff like that um, in this time because there's plenty of opportunity. You just kind of have to
Yes.
pick
Yeah.
you have to pick up where people are seeing less risk, um, and and the best market is when everything goes is when people start going back into the growth stocks, um, which is what we've seen in August, and I do think we get that again. Um, this week though, particular, there's just so many numbers coming out. I don't know if even if we tried to like guess it, every day this week's gonna kind of be not a crapshoot, but it's going to have a lot of different things going on that are going to move the market probably
Yes.
dramatically in either
And
direction.
there's going to be some like coordinated intraday flash crashes that you'll see too.
Yeah.
Even if on the day we're fine, and that actually happens. I think that was Thursday. where I was looking at, let's see.
I just
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, on the 8th at like about 10:30 my time, like QQQ dropped from 301 to 296 in about less than, yeah, about an hour. It just like straight down. It was crazy. And then it recovered and was fine. And like, well, I know we're not talking about individual stocks, but I was looking at it at the time. Like, so Tesla was up like 1.6%, went red, and then closed the day 1.9%.
yeah.
So that's the kind of price action that really shakes people out of um, option positions, and that's why if you're up, just have a stop and just you can just get back into it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Pac
anybody,
preaches that. Pac preaches this play that same level over and over again, especially if you're
yeah,
getting a good price
yeah.
on it. But
And you know why people don't like, I I think is that you have a certain amount of money you're going to trade for the day. You're in that position. You have some conviction about it, and like if you go ahead and sell it, especially if you were green and like you lose a bunch of that profit, it's frustrating. So there's like this temptation. I'll just wait this out, and maybe you don't have the cash to kind of keep getting back in. That really can bite you, especially with options. Um, so yeah, I mean, just when you're up, walk that stop up. Don't even worry about it if it dips back down, and just go from there.
so this week, I mean, literally every day there's some numbers coming out that will affect the market and or sectors. Um, Starting with, and it's not earnings this week. I mean, there's really light earnings this week, so it should be easy to focus on this stuff. Um, but the UK GDP is Monday. That'll be huge, and then our CPI is Tuesday, um, and then PPI, which is basically the same thing in my opinion, is Wednesday. But UK inflation comes out Wednesday, and I think that's the biggest news on the week because it's going to be the worst news on the week. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and then Thursday, China has industrial production. We have business inventories, industrial production. Um, so pretty much there's a lot, and retail sales are Thursday too. So pretty much, I mean, there's a lot of like those sector related numbers that are going to come out this week, and then some stuff that could affect the overall market, especially on like the energy side because of Europe. Um, for me, the China news hasn't really been moving the stocks. They're all beat down so goddamn much. They're actually trending back up in most cases, in my opinion. If you look at most of the ADRs that we play, they're all in an uptrend already.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I think long term, not that Chinese ADRs are necessarily stocks. It's not like Disney or something, but I
yeah,
mean like Baba under 100 is just sort of absurd. I mean it really doesn't belong down here. But that being said, you still don't buy it at 95 because it's probably going down under 88, and you can just keep that we have the best entry on Baba. So unless you're just doing like a quick scalp, you just want to wait for that pullback and kind of go from there. But yeah, I like when I look at the longer term flow on Baba, it really kind of belongs between like 107 and 112. Um, is kind of the channel that I sort of see it getting back into. But but yeah, I mean, we'll see. And as we've seen with these Chinese stocks, they'll usually give you one or two really solid days per week.
yes.
Neo's one I watch a lot. I kind of see getting back to like 22, 24. Just kind of a question of when. And their earnings don't really matter. I mean, like
No.
it's not really possible for Neo to have good numbers for another decade or something. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of that space. But but it's a stock that has a following and can get some momentum and can get some news that'll push it too.
Yeah, Neo's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah.
um, the only other thing I got on our notes here is crypto. Um, definitely want to talk a little bit about that. I think Bitcoin's still in the uptrend. Um, the main thing that I want to point out, because I'm gonna be able to say it better if I can type it, is we kind of been talking about Ethereum, how it's held its gains, and
Yeah.
it's still getting it. They have some like news where they're going from like a tier 2 to a tier 1 coin. There's some fucking coin verbiage. I heard this from the crypto guy at the gym. Um, but they're like getting an upgrade in a month or two. They're just like waiting for the news to come out. So that's why it's holding its gains so well, in my opinion, is because it's a pretty big milestone, whatever it is. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget what it's exactly how he put it, but it's just like the proof of concept is another step proven, if that makes sense. Um, the sector, though,
Yeah.
I think we aren't out of the woods until we test 24. Um, but these stocks have range. Um, it was nice to see the range, and it was nice to see them kind of move without Bitcoin, because that means when Bitcoin comes in, they're really gonna move. Um,
Yeah. Like I have so I have so many damn lines on coin, and it went through four of them in one day. I mean,
yeah,
it was just unreal. And then it would just retest them and go. And yeah, so I mean, if and then on the way down, it's going to bump against those levels. So yeah, the range has just been great on these. Um, that MSTR is another one that I do a lot. Same kind of deal, but yeah.
have they cleared that news yet? They had like some SEC you're fraudulent news. I thought, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they're still dealing with that for
Oh no,
sure.
that's good. That's good because
Yeah.
that's a future catalyst if they handle it. My problem with coin is I have a 53.86 line, so like try to get the 55 dip. That's what that means. Um,
Yeah.
but man, I should have played, and then 76 on the top is the only two lines I have. But I should have played the 60 dip, obviously. That thing moves just so fast to the north. It's opposite. Most stocks move fast down. This thing moves fast up and then kind of trickles down. Um, it's
Yeah, it does. And I mean, you really on those days when it spikes up pre-market between like 4 and 6%, you'll usually get a pretty decent flush on that. Like on Friday, it opened up I think 7%, dipped down up 3%, and then went back up to 8%. So yeah, it's perfect for scalping. I When I'm trading coin, I don't know why people mess with 1% moves on Apple when you got stocks out there like that. But
yeah.
that's just me.
I think between Oxy and Coin, you've kind of shown how if you just find one or two good ones, you can make it through a pretty substantial period of time. I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking like 8 or 9 months, and you've just kind of rotated back and forth between those two as your primary target. I mean, you've had others for maybe a week or two, but
yeah.
Coin
Like
and Oxy have been it.
yep. Like Enphase was a good example, and Enphase was interesting because when it had that, they always seem to do well on earnings, but like that last one, just sort of sent them into the stratosphere, and I stayed away from it a bit after that happened, just because wasn't really just comfortable up there. But the way it's reacted around 300 and basically like that dip to 276 or so, kind of gotten a little bit of a channel there on these 300 tests, and then now it just kind of busted through that.
Am
But
I?
when that happens, then that 300, it's going to retest it in the other direction,
Yeah,
and
100%.
it in the flow it acts kind of like a magnet. So basically, what I'm saying is that end phase stayed up long enough for me to get some idea of what it's going to do, because I don't like chasing things, but you sort of see if it wants to hold those higher levels, what's going to be the character of that stock up there, and that takes weeks to get a sense of that.
Am I wrong to not short this thing when it breaks 300? Like when you get above 300 to buy 300 puts?
Yeah, no, you should. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Like as a
Yeah.
scale end kind of swing play, like
Yeah. I mean, especially if you go like 3 weeks out, or a month out on it, for sure. Yeah. I mean, because it hit as high as 320, but that didn't last long. It just came right back down.
yeah. Well, we're like you just explained, we're flipping SR right there. We're just flipping support
Yeah.
and resistance, 100%. But we're flipping it against an all-time high on a psych level. So that's why the short play makes sense to me. Like there's it's not going to run to 350 without news.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
not happening. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that. Perfect. You got anything else, or you want to get to phase two here?
Yeah. We can go to phase two.
All right.